Welcome to Lexicon Unpacked. I am Yan Shua from the UP Department of Linguistics, and I'll be your moderator for today's lecture. So, Lexicon Unpacked is a lecture series organized by the UP Department of Linguistics. At the heart of Lexicon Unpacked is the idea that the words we use, our lexicon, hold layers of meaning shaped by both history and culture. These words aren't just labels. They reflect lived experience, collective memory, and evolving identities. Through linguistic analysis, we can uncover not just what a word means today, but how it came to mean, what it does, and why that matters. So this is our fourth installment, and we've previously unpacked number 1, Kamalayan, exploring Malay, Alay, and Daya in relation to national identity and collective memory. The second one is Sakit, looking at the language of pain in Filipino, and Pag-ibig, tracing love through Tagalog expressions, songs, and cultural practices. This year, in celebration of Women's Month 2025, and in partnership with the UP Diliman Gender Office, we bring you the many words and worlds of motherhood. Now, motherhood, ina, nanay, mama, oma, kasan, ne, isn't just a role or a relationship. It's a whole world of meanings, feelings, and yes, words. Today, we'll be unpacking those words, how we talk about mothers, how we imagine them, and how language mediates our understanding of what it means to mother and to be mothered. So whether you're here as a linguist, a daughter, a son, a parent, or a curious guest, we're so glad you've joined us. Sit back, listen in, and let's explore this rich, multilingual, and deeply personal lexicon together. For our lecture today, we have 4 speakers from the UP Department of Linguistics, each of whom will present on the lexicon of motherhood in the language they explored. After all 4 lectures, we'll open the floor for questions and conversation, so feel free to take notes, reflect, and get ready to share your thoughts. Now, to start off, our first speaker is Dr. Mary Ann Bacolod. Dr. Bacolod is Associate Professor at the UP Department of Linguistics, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, University of the Philippines, Diliman. Her academic journey began with a Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics from this institution, followed by a Master of Arts in Linguistics, and she also concluded her studies with a PhD in Japanese language and Society Studies from the Osaka University of Foreign Studies in Japan. Dr. Bacolod's research interests include morphosemantics, interlanguage grammar, Philippine lexicography, translation, and disaster communication. Alongside her scholarly pursuits, she is also a devoted mother. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Mary Ann Bacolod.
Magandang hapon. I'm here as a curious guest. So, simulan ko po. Unpacking ina. Okay. On the concept of mother and motherhood in Filipino. So, ano po yung layunin ng aking presentasyon ngayong hapon? Ano yung mga pagpapakahulugan? Nais natin tingnan. Ano yung mga pagpapakahulugan natin sa salitang ina? Ano yung konsepto at kultural na pagpapahalaga ang sinasalamin natin sa pagpapakahulugan? Nung ginamit ko yung mga lapit o approaches ng ethnolexicography and text analysis at syempre semantic analysis, kung saan sa ethnolexicography, sinubukan natin ikumpara at suriin yung mga salita gamit ang mga pagbibigay kahulugan mula sa mga diksyonaryo sa isang headword. So this time, yung headword na pinag-uusapan natin, ina, nanay. And then, sinuri kung ano mga sinasalamin ng pagpapakahulugang ito sa paniniwala at kultura ng mananalita ng wika, at pagsusuri sa kung paano ginamit ang tampok na salita sa iba't ibang konteksto at kung ano ang ugnayan nito sa iyong pang mga salita. So sa text analysis, kasi minsan, limited yung mga nakita natin mga salita na may kinalaman sa ina o nanay sa diksyonaryo. So kumuha din ng mga datos sa mga texts. No? So sa text analysis, sinuri yung mga konteksto ng paggamit ng mga salita at yung mga kahulugan na ipaparating nito mula sa mga pangungusap na nakalap sa corpus. So ano yung din? Ito sa metodolohiya, tinignan yung mga kahulugan muna ng mga salitang, tinatag ko muna yung salitang babae, ugnayan nito sa ina at nanay kasi ito yung mga common, no, na talking about motherhood. Then tinignan ko yung mga salitang ito sa paglalarawan at pagbibigay kahulugan mula sa mga diksyonaryo at kinategorize itong mga meanings nila according to the different semantic domains. Then tinalakay din yung iba't ibang uri pa ng papakahulugan sa salitang ina. Now, ano mga diksyonaryo ginamit? Nandiyan yung diksyonaryo ng wikang Filipino na Centennial Edition ng 1998, diksyonaryo monolingual sa Filipino ni McFarland, meron din yung online edition ng DWF, at yung UPDF, UP Dictionary Filipino ng SWF noong 2001. Ginamit din yung mga diksyonaryo Tagalog sa tagalogland.com at tagalog.com. At yung corpus na pinagkuhanan naman ng mga teksto ay mula sa Leipzig Corpora Collection. Now, sino ang babae? Yun yung unahin natin. Kasi syempre, hinahanap ko muna, saan pa nagsimula yung pagpapakahulugan sa salitang ina? Nagmumula siya dun sa ano ba? Yung pagkaintindi muna sa sino ang babae. From DWF, dinefine ng babae bilang tao o hayop ng kasarian ay ukol sa pagiging ina. So highlight yung ukol sa pagiging ina o sino mang nilikha o anumang halamang may katangian sa pagiging ina o pagkakaroon ng bunga. Gayun din, ginamit din siya ng medyo negative, no? Kinakasama ng lalaking may asawa o kanino. Sa DWF Online Edition, ginamit naman yung pagpapakahulugan sa babae bilang tao o halaman o hayop na natutukoy at biyolohikong katangian sa kakayahan nitong manganak, mag-produce ng itlog o magbunga. Sa DMF, nandyan yung babae bilang tao o hayop na ipinanganak na ang kasarian ay may kakayahang maging ina. At sa UPDF, tumutukoy siya sex na may kakayahang magbuntis at manganak. At sa zoology, sa hayop, may kakayahang magbuntis o mangitlog. At nagtataglay ng estrukturang panreproduksyon sa botany na may elementong nagdudulot ng hindi. So take note of the yung mga key terms natin. So therefore, pag nakita natin yon, ano yung mapagpapakahulugan sa ina? So umiikot siya dun sa una, pagkakaroon ng bunga o reproduksyon. Kakayahang magbuntis o manganak. Kakayahang mag-produce ng itlog o mangitlog. At yung kakayahang maging ina o pagiging ina. Take note na yung term na ginagamit nandun yung pagiging ina. Hindi talaga siya natipan. So, ngayon, laging binabanggit sa sino ang babae, yung pagiging ina. Ngayon naman, ano ang isang ina? Sino ang isang ina? So sa DWF, dinefine ng ina bilang magulang na babae o babaeng nakapagluwal na ng sanggol. Same with UPDF, magulang na babae, babaeng nakapagluwal ng sanggol, or meron sila isa pang term yung matandang babae. And then sa DMF, magulang na babae din at babaeng nakapanganak na. So take note of the key term, nakapanganak na, nakapagluwal ng sanggol. So you have the comparison here, babae, nakafocus dun sa kasarian, yung sex, no? Na ukol sa pagiging ina, pagkakaroon ng bunga, may kakayahang magbuntis, may kakayahang mangitlog, at may strukturang panreproduksyon. At dun sa pag-define ng salitang ina, nakafocus lang sa dalawa, no? Nakapagluwal ng sanggol o nakapanganak na, at yung pagiging babae, magulang na babae. So ngayon, ano naman yung mga katawagang ginagamit na natin sa ngayon, referring to ina? So nakita ko rin yung mga ibang terms na nay, nanay, ina, mami, mama, inay. Nakita natin doon. Pero wala talaga siyang definition kasi parang circular definition yung nangyayari sa mga dictionaries. UPDF, nanay is inay. Tapos sa DMF, you have inang, iba pang tawag sa ina. Kasi kahulugan niya ay inay, nanay, ina. UPDF at DWF, pareho din silang merong term for nanay, which is the equivalent of lola. Kaya nga yung iba sa inyo, ang tawag din sa lola nyo ay nanay. No? And then sa ibang wika naman, ito very interesting lang din, na nakita ko sa Mesopotamian goddess of love, nanay o nanaya, yung term nila nyo. Goddess of love, military art, fertility, and fertile land. Ito yung nakita ko isa sa ibang wika. Sa ngayon, ano ba tawag sa nanay nyo? Anong tawag sa nanay nyo? Nasaan dyan? Nandyan ba? Okay. So may mami, parang mami, Roby lang, diba? May mudra, may mother, may mamita, may mamasan, may mother superior, may mamshi. Ito nakuha ko kay Mike yung Mima, tsaka Mima Sor daw. At Reyna. Sa klase ko sa Lisbon 80, mayroon ang tawag sa nanay kasi princess. Yung mga ganun silang katawagan. So, nasan kayo dyan? Now, yung semantic domains, tinignan ko, ano yung mga semantic domains dun sa mga kahulugan na nakita natin from the dictionaries? At iba pang mga pagpapakahulugan na pwede natin i-relate dun sa mga expressions or terms na kinabibilangan ng salitang ina. May nakita kong 1, 2, 3, 5, no, na major na mga semantic domains. So, una yung physical na katangian, abstract na mga bagay, struktura ng pamilya, religion, at unahin. So, sa physical na katangian, divide into 2, tao, yung una. So, nandyan yun nga yung babaeng nakapagluwal na ng sanggol, babaeng nakapanganak na. At sa hayop na pangalawa, nandyan yung bilang nanganganak o nangingitlog. So, nandyan yung lahat. May something on nangingitlog. So, nandyan yung term na inahin, mainly inahin. Yung pangalawa, abstractong bagay, nandyan yung bilang pinagmulan, the source, tagapag-alaga, taga-nurture, no? Tagapagpanatili, yung sustainer. Kung saan makikita natin yung mga expressions na inang kalikasan. Nandyan yung inang dulangan. Hindi ko alam yung dulangan. Sinerch ko pa yung dulangan kasi nakalagay, Mother Ayog in mining. Tapos yung dulangan pala ay lugar na pinagkukuhanan ng yamang mineral at ibang mahahalagang bato o sangkap mula sa lupa. So pag may inang dulangan kayo, yung pinakamayaman kasi mother of all the yung sources mo. Bilang pangunahin, the main or tagapukok from the expressions ina ng bayan, alam niyo naman na siguro kung ibig sabihin ina ng bayan, at inang lalawigan, pinakita din ako dun sa corpus natin. No? Inang lalawigan, so meron siyang plebisito at lahat ng sub-lalawigan na under ng inang lalawigan. At yung bilang pangunahin, pundasyon din at pinagmulan, yung inang wika, sariling wika, katutubong wika, at meron din term na inang kumpanya, mother company, naman dito yung term na ginagawa. Nandiyan din yung bilang pundasyon, again, pinagmulan, source, pinanggalingan ng lahat, inang selula. So makikita mo dun sa example, paghahati ng selula ay sumasangkot sa isang selula na tinatawag ng inang selula na nahati sa mga anak na selula. So, merong inang selula, mother cell, parang sabi mothers. Now, nakita din natin yung domain ng isang ina na tinitingnan bilang leader, pinuno, inspirasyon, na makikita natin sa mga expressions na ina ng himagsikan, ina ng katipunan, ina ng balintawak, ina ng biyak na bato at ina ng revolusyon. Diyan din yung ina bilang tagapagtanggol. So this is very interesting kasi meron doon nakita na yung safety point of a game in hide and seek. Sino naglalaro ng tago-taguan? Yung safety point doon, yun daw yung inahan na term. And then, akong generation ko, hindi ko na alam yung inahan, pero ginamit yung mother hen at mother goose. Sino naglalaro doon? Mother hen, nakatayo ka, nakahilera sa likod mo yung mga anak mo, nakahawak sa waist. Anong tawag dun sa yung nagnanakaw ng anak? So, kukuhanin niya yung nasa tail na anak. Pag nakuha niya yung kanya na yun, ipoprotect siya ng mother hen. Or mother goose. Anong tawag niya doon? Alawin at sisiw naman yung iba. Sabi mother hen, mother goose. Bilang mataas ang katungkulan in terms of panuntunan, disiplina at autoridad sa tahanan. So dito papasok yung reyna ng tahanan. Sino ang reyna ng tahanan nyo? Sino yung may kinalaman sa mga panuntunan sa tahanan? Sino yung nagdidisiplina? Sino yung may authority? And tagapag-aruga ng tahanan, syempre hindi mawawala yung ilaw ng tahanan, referring kanina. Now, sa relihiyon, ito din yung napakadami din ng mga expressions na makikita natin. So, nandyan yung bilang modelo or tagapamagitan sa Diyos pala, bilang modelo ng pananampalataya at tiwala. So, Inang Maria, Inang ng Diyos, Inang Birhen, at simbolo ng pagmamahal, awa, ugnayang pantao at connection. So, I found it sa Oxford, Channel of Peace, Channel of Hope, Channel of Love. Sa atin, ang dami din. So, meron kang ina ng laging saklolo, ina ng awa, ina ng dukha, ina ng buhay, ina ng mga walang pagkampon, yung mga mother of the abandoned. Mahal na ina ng banal na rosaryo ng manawag, ina ng pitong hapis, at inang sakdal linis, na nakita ko lang from songs, no? Sa ina ng laging saklolo. Bilang tagagabay o mentor, ito naman wala talaga siya doon sa konteksto ng tahanan or yung biological relationship. Pero yung relationship mo outside sa mga society, yung mamasan, no? Ito yung usually ang talagang babaeng tagapangalaga ng bahay, aliwan. Pero ginagamit pa rin siya na term na, I think sa mga gay, sa gay linggo, mamasan, siya yung mother mo. No? Tapos, pero, nire-refer din siya also to madam. So, yung magalang na tawag sa isang babae or tawag ng babae mayapang. Bakit mayapang? Okay. Now, may iba pang terms na nakita, like yung dalagang ina, inain, at mag-ini-ina. Basically, yung relationship ng ina, no? Sa iba pa. At ganoon din yung ina-inahan, yung sino mang gumaganap ng tungkulin ng isang ina sa sino mang bata. Or babae nag-aalaga at umaaruga sa anak, not necessarily anak niya. Meron din inang pamuman, tawag sa pangalawang asawa ng ama, which is equivalent to madrasta. And ito yung interesting, yung English to be Bisaya Cebuano Dictionary, yung supermom. So, the informal term for a mother who can combine childcare and full-time employment. So, meron na tayong mga tao. Ganon din yung nakita ko itong dalawa, I don't know if it's really relevant, pero homographs. No? Iba yung bigkas, pero pareho yung sulat. Siya yung ina sa arkitektura, pangunahing haligi ng kubo. I still refer it to motherhood. And yung pagpupunla na ina naman, na yung sa agriculture, yung pagtatanim ng punla. Again, may kinalaman dun sa binhi. Pinag-usapan natin. Now, ano naman yung mga negatibong pagpapakamulugan? Siyempre, hindi mawawala yung PI. So, meron siya. Pero, pag titignan mo yung pagpapakamulugan sa dictionary, yung PI, inang iniwan ang pamilya upang makisama sa ibang lalaki. So, something on betrayal, ng nanay sa pamilya. No? O inang nangangalakal ng puri. Sino nga nangangalakal ng puri dito? No, tapos, doon sa Leipzig, Corpora, nakita yung isang sentence, ang katagang ay isang mura na kadalasan ginagamit na panlait, no? O expression. So, I was thinking, ginagamit talaga siya as a form of yung derogatory, pag minumura mo isang tao, pag galit ka, kasi parang yun yung isang form ng pinakasakit, no? Para dun sa isang tao. Then nakita ko yung medyo bago-bago sa mga vlogs. Meron siya, ina mo ka bobo. So it's a ina mo ka bobo, which is equivalent, hanap ko kayo meaning. Ano yung meaning nito? Ang dami ko pang binasa ng mga brainless, pero yung pinakapasok na definition na yung dumb ass and F. And then meron din yung negative na mahaderang ina. Ano yung napaka-mahaderang ina niya? Ano yung mahaderang ina? Yung feeling niya lahat alam niya, lahat pinapakailaman niya. Tinignan ko naman din yung structure. Sa structure, makita na yung salitang pumapalibot sa ina. Ito ay mula sa Leipzig Corpora Collection. Tinignan ko ano yung ina, tsaka yung nanay. And if you see, yung mga pumapalibot dyan, yung mga salitang sanggol, asawa, anak, mami, bata, kapatid. Pero, si Annabel Rama po kasi. Si Annabel at may Rama. Kasi, yung lahat po ng balita sa anak, ako kay Annabel, kaya bumaba siya sa Leipzig. Okay. So, pero it's very interesting to see that progress pronouns. No? Lagi may pronoun kanyang ina or after. Before the ina or after the ina. Kaya nga pumasok yung ina ko at ina mo. Pero yun nga sabi, ba't parang iba yung dating pag yung pronoun ay mo? Ina mo. Kasi ina mo. Iba siya kesa sa ina ko. Diba? Ganun din sa nanay ko. Asa ng nanay mo? Iba din sa mo. And, doon lalabas yung meron palang inay ko na galing sa DWF na isang padamdam na pinaikling ina ko, no? Na karaniwang nabibigkas kapag nabibigya. Same with UPDF and DMF. Sa DMF naman, nay, pinaigsing tawag sa inay, na nay ko po. So, from inay ko, ay nanay ko, according to Rene Rojas, an author of a children's book, ay naku, no? Sabi niya, nagaling daw yun sa Spanish na madre mia, no? Na ginagamit to express disappointment, exasperation, dismay, and surprise. So, sa Tagaloglang.com, makikita yung naku, ay sabi niya, hango ang ekspresyon naku sa pinaikling, inako. Mahihinuha ko lagi ito kung gaano kalaki ang papel ng ina sa buhay ng mga Pinoy, na ina ang unang hinahanap o hinihingian ng tulong sa mga panahong hindi ka nais-nais. So, ngayon, di ba na, pagdadapa? Yes! Paano ganon? Okay. Alright. Now, dun sa mga dictionary definitions, nakita natin yung denotation na of ina. At binabanggit yung term na ang ina has something to do with, yung babae has something to do with pagiging ina. Pero hindi dinidefine ano ba ang pagiging ina. So I will try to look into the corpora. Meron kaya akong makukuha, no, from the context para ma-define ano ba yung talagang konsepto ng pagiging ina. So I look into these different texts. Meron ka ditong ang mga nanay gusto nila yung maganda sa anak nila. Yung mga nanay ay walang inang nakakatiis sa anak. Merong, ito napaka-important, no? General rule, ayon sa Article 213 ng Family Code, hindi dapat ihiwalay sa poder ng ina dahil pangunahing pangangailangan ng bata ang pagmamahal at pag-aaruga ng isang ina. Same with ina, ito din, no? Ang parusa sa inang nagtuloy ng adultery or immoralidad is ihihiwalay sa kanya yung anak niya. Yung parang pinakamabigat na parusa. Pag ang lalaki gumawa ng immoralidad, sustento, I don't know, no? Pero bakit sa ina, no? Yun yung mapagkaitan ng pangangalaga sa kanyang anak. Ang isang mabuting ina ay mapagkaloob ng kabutihang loob. Nandiyan din yung ina ay kailangan protektahan ang kanyang anak. Anong isang pabayang ina? Kaya sabi, anong klaseng ina yan? Pinabayaan niya yung pakipagkitang anak niya sa lalaki o ibang karelasyon. Wala agad, kasi anong klaseng ina yan? Pagpapabayaan na agad yun sa part ng ina. Or, ito sa Genesis 3:20, buhay, nabubuhay, pinagmumulan ng buhay, ina ng lahat ng nabubuhay. At yung, ito rin nakita ko, sa kawikaan ni Salomon from Bible.knowingjesus.com, ang pantas na anak ay nakakapagpasaya sa ama. Ngunit, ang mangmang na anak ay pasan ng kanyang ina. So parang, bigat, no? Yung sacrifice na ipinapatong dun sa nanay. Dun sa kapag yung problematic yung anak mo, ikaw yung haharap. Paano? Then, nandiyan din yung gagawin ng lahat. Mabuhay lang ang kanyang anak. Binigyan niya ng panahon, ano to? Ay, dito pala, kasi meron dito yung, dun sa corpora, makikita yung head muna na bilang ina. So sabi ko, ano magandang tignan, bilang ina, anong expectations natin sa isang ina? Bilang ina, gagawin niya ang lahat, mabuhay lang ang kanyang anak. Bilang ina, bibigyan niya ng panahon ang kanyang mga anak. Bilang ina, pangangalagaan at bibigyan niya ng magandang buhay ang kanyang anak. Ito yung mabigat mo. Bilang isang responsableng ina, ang iyong buong pagkatao, puso at kaluluwa ay makararamdam ng kabigatan tuwing naiisip mo ang iyong tungkulin sa kanya. So, buong pagkatao. So, makikita natin from all those examples, we look into the ina expectations, roles ng isang ina, bilang yung nakafocus dun sa responsibilidad sa anak at responsibilidad sa pamilya. Pero nasa yung responsibilidad niya para sa sarili? At nasa yung ina bilang isang babae? Wala masyado. lahat doon, no? Nakaatas dun sa yung tungkulin mo sa pamilya mo, hindi mo dapat pababayaan ng mga anak mo. So, therefore, sa ating paglalago, sa lexicographic analysis, nakita natin na mas nakatutok yung pagbibigay kahulugan sa ina sa biological na kakayahan. Reproduction, mangitlog, magbunga, manganak. Iniugnay din yung definisyon ng ina o babae sa pagiging ina. Pero wala naman talaga tayong definisyon na binibigay sa pagiging ina nito. Maliban sa aspeto ng, nakafocus sa aspeto ng katangian o yung kakayahan niya maliban sa na hindi biological. O di kaya yung yung image ng pagiging ina. Pangatlo, hindi nasasalamin yung konsepto ng pag-aalaga, pag-aaruga, sakripisyo, pagmamahal na tiyak at buo sa mga kahulugan, pagpapakahulugan ng ina mula sa mga diksyonaryo. Pero ito talaga yung madalas na description na nakikita natin dun sa corpus, no? Sa pang-araw-araw na konteksto. Therefore, kulang yung representation ng isang ina sa pagpapakahulugan sa mga diksyonaryo. Sa analysis ng mga teksto sa corpus, nakita natin yung mga roles at konsepto ng pagiging ina. Nandiyan yung sakripisyo ng isang ina bilang provider ng pangunahing pangangailangan ng anak, bilang protector mo kahit sa laro, di ba? Nag-depict yun. Yung pinagmulan ng buhay, ina ng lahat ng buhay, magbibigay ng magandang buhay, tagagabay at tagahubog ng kanyang mga anak. So overall, we're going to analyze sa denotasyon ng salitang ina, nanay, nakafocus lang tayo dun sa nagbubunga ito, nanganganak, nangingitlog, babaeng magulang, nakapagluwal na ng sanggol at nanganak na. Pero dun sa mga konotasyon, kung talagang mas malaliman natin titignan, focus on the different semantic domains, focus on the different contexts dun sa mga texts na nakikita natin. Kita natin na hindi lang pag-produce ng anak, no, ang isang pagiging ina, ang dami ng roles. Fondasyon, tagapag-alaga, tagapamahala, tagapagtanggol, can also be a leader, can be a pinuno, tagapamagitan sa Diyos, no? Simbolo ng awa, pagmamahal, kapayapaan, tagagabay, the source, nurturer, sustainer, inspirasyon, tagapagpanatiling kaligtasan at kalinawa. So, I'd like to end my presentation dun sa dalawang Jewish proverbs na nakita ko. I think very relevant. That one mother achieves more than 100 teachers. Sa dami ba naman ng roles na yun. And lastly, God couldn't be everywhere, so He created mothers. So magandang hapon sa mga.
Thank you. On the presentation to its name, no? Unpacking ina. So from ina, dulangan to Lima source, so lahat na covered. Thank you po, Dr. Bacotet, for your lecture. Okay, our next speaker is an assistant professorial fellow at the Department of Linguistics, where she has been teaching since 2010. She earned her PhD in language education from the UP College of Education in 2020. Her passions, include passion, hindi lang siya basta interest, include training future generations of Filipino teachers of Korean as a foreign language and translating Korean literature into English. Let's give a warm round of applause to Dr. Jong Min.
So my presentation is a bit different from Ma'am Ann. So I included lots of images, so it's easier for you if you don't speak Korean. So I just titled my presentation K-Mother, Roots and Discursive Meaning Making, because the first part I just talk about how the mother in different terms in Korean was given some different spellings, and then the later part I will also talk about how in Korean discourses it shows some different meanings. So what's the most common and what's quite familiar with everyone is 어머니. So 어머니. If you see the literature in the late Joseon Dynasty, which is 18th century or 19th century, they demonstrate 어머니 was already used in those literatures. But if you see the upper part in the 18th century, you can read it as omani, which you can also break it down into a noun, vocative particle, and honorific suffix, which is ni or nim. So normally, if you listen to Korean from Korean dramas, you can hear 어머님, 님 when someone refers to a mother-in-law who is not my mother. You have to call someone 어머님. So whoever is not my original birth mother, they are called 어머님. But 어머니 is my mother. But in the 19th century, you can see 어머니 became 어머니 or 어머니. So these two nouns are found in the 19th century literature. And then 엄마, 아빠, I think this is the most common, right? Because 엄마, 아빠 is more rather babyish, childish tone. So when 어머니 or 아버지 or 아바 became more common nouns used by lots of Korean speakers, it became like very endearment terms like 엄마 or 아빠. And then we can also see a Chinese character which is read in Korean spelling mo. So the Chinese character over there means mother. I think Farah will explain more about the character later. But if you see the first line, the first Chinese character means woman, babae. And then the next one, so these two are conceived like mother's role and the importance of the mother in the family or in the society. Unlike lots of many foreigners believe that Korea was Confucian country, and then Confucianism really took over late Joseon dynasty. But ironically, Korea, especially Joseon dynasty, was rather maternal society. So the use of the Chinese character mo or mother also show the ancient concept and philosophy of Koreans' maternal society, and their concept or perception toward valuing maternal society. And then the second word is yumo. Yu is breast milk. So if you have no mother, but the newly born needs breast milk, then there's someone who still has milk. So yumo is the lady who can share breast milk. And then witakmo or witakmo means someone, some ladies, some women who will take care of you. So witak, the first two syllables, can also be used with other nouns like witak, like house or witak or residence. So witak means like someone is in charge of you temporarily. And then 계모. 계모 is the second mother who will continue to be your mother, like remarriage, or your father is married to some other woman, then it becomes the lady becomes your 계모. So sometimes it's also called 의붓엄마, which is stepmother. And then let's see the last two words. 서모, the second to the last, and then the last one is 양모. Because 양모 is like adoptive mother. So it doesn't really have to be like remarried, or you don't really have to have a married relationship between the lady and the man. But someone who will be like adoptive mother in a household can be called 양모. And then 서모 is a bit controversial because 계모 is like legitimate stepmother because they have a like marriage document. But 서모 is like the lady who happened to be with your father, the husband. But they don't really have to be legitimately married. So in some literatures, they also have like synonym of 서모 is like mistress, but I think it's wrong because 계모, 서모, 양모, these are all mother who becomes your mother aside from your birth mother. And then, aside from mother itself, I also checked some other words. The first part is 친정. 친정 is like my own family. So if I refer to my own mother, like my own household, aside from my in-laws or my husband's family, 친, that syllable is found. So if you call 친어머니, it means my birth mother, right? Or more closer term, you can also call 친엄마. But if you see the second Chinese character, 시댁, she means anything in-law. So if you see the Chinese character broken into woman and then thought, it's like thought and woman, because in-law, like in-law's family, there's already mother-in-law and then other sisters, right? So 시어머니, if you refer your mother-in-law, she is like prefix, right? 시어머니. And then 시어머니 can also be read in full Chinese character, which is 고부. And then 고 is quite interesting because if you are familiar with the first part, this one, that means female. So in 고, in 고, what is there is female and then old, which means your mother-in-law was already in that household, right? Who is the woman who stayed before? Old time, then you became part of the family, right? So 고부 means your 시어머니, so mother-in-law, 시어머니 or 고부. And then I think you're also familiar with these words, 이모 and then 고모. So now you can understand, right? Because 고 means in-law. So 고모 means sister-in-law. And then 이모, the Chinese character there, 이, means auntie, which is maternal auntie. That's why the lady who is my maternal auntie is read 이모, mother's sister. And then since we just talked about family, I also I got curious. What kinship terms we can also connect to mother? So if the children are born from the main wife, the original mother, who is legitimately wife in that family, those children will be called, this is not anymore, but this was up to Joseon Dynasty. So those legitimate children were called 적자 if that's a son, 정녀 if that's a daughter. 양인 is this part, aristocrat. So those who are educated, those who are well off, if they have children, they are also called 서자, son, 서녀, the daughter. But the last class, 천민, the slavery, the lowest class during Joseon Dynasty, if they had children, but the mother, the wife is concubine, not really legitimate wife, then the children are called 얼자, the son, 얼려, the daughter. So these ladies already refer how legitimate you are and how illegitimate you are from certain household. And then in these two slides, in these two slides, I just included some Saturi. Saturi is Korean dialect because as you see the colorful map of Korean peninsula, you can see Korea has different dialects up to the regions. But we will not go through everything, but you can just see the highlighted romanized Korean word like 어머니, 어머니, 오마시, 오메, 오몽. So the round vowels tend to be developed. And then these are North Korean regions. In the past, of course, Korea was one, so there was no division, but these are the provinces that are found in North Korea. So you can see if you compare with South Korean, 어머니 etymology, and then North Korean etymology, they are quite different. So at least after this talk, you can remember how to say 어머니 or 엄마 in Jeju dialect. So the first line, 어머. So in Jeju, because not everyone still speaks Jeju dialect, because the younger generation speaks like Seoul like pronunciation these days. But I think this drama is a hit these days. So if you watch this drama, they also studied how to speak Jeju dialects. So of course the subtitle will be just plain English. So 어멍 is 어머니, 엄마. And then 낳은 어멍, my birth mother, who gave birth to me. 수양 어멍, who is like my stepmother or adoptive mother. And then 원 어멍, 원 original, 원 어멍. So it's like my real mother. So you can also remember how to say different 어머니 in different Korean dialects. And then earlier, Mama also mentioned like Mama Mary, how the Maria or Mother was presented in the Bible. This is the first published New Testament, which was written by Scottish missionary John Rose in 1887. So in this version of New Testament, Omam or Omani is found. But it's quite interesting because Omani is a Pyongan province dialect, because the informant John Rose worked with is from Pyongan province. So that's why in this version of New Testament you can see how Pyongan dialect is also reflected. And then just to wrap up the family part, I also got curious. If it's mother, there should be grandmother, who is the one higher up than the mother. So I looked up how the mother or the value of mother was considered by Koreans. There is such goddess or the mythological figure which is called 삼신 할머니. So 할머니 is grandmother. So before your mother, there was grandmother, but they are called 삼신, three goddess. So there are two theories that Sam is umbilical cord, like when you're born, right? You're connected to your mother. So that's called Sam in Korean, native word. And then another theory also says there are three goddesses who will help the baby to produce blood, bones, and also help the mother with easy labor. So these three 할머니, the grandmothers, are very important for Korean household. So in rural areas, they used to have 2 jars, and then they always had clear water to pray for the health and safety of babies. And then they also prepared for the fresh rice for 3 할머니, like the 3 bowls of rice. And then this is quite particular in Jeju, because Jeju has lots of mythology. So in Jeju, the second highlighted one, 생불 할망. Earlier it was 할머니, right? But in Jeju dialect, 할머니, grandmother, is pronounced 할망, like 엄망, right? So 생불 할망 is the female giant who created Jeju Island, because she's regarded as a creator, but as also considered as a savior. Because in Jeju, since Jeju is an island, there are always fishermen and then the sea diving women. So 생불 할망 is not just to protect babies, but to protect all the lives outside the sea and then inside the island. So we just talked about some etymology and Korean, how to say mother in different words. But let's see the contemporary issues. So if you see the photograph over there, this is the news article. Maybe some citizen took this accidental shot because some mother was using the Starbucks mug to just have the urine of a son, baby. And then it became so viral online in 2015. So in 2015, there was such buzzword which was Mamchung. So Mam, mommy, mother, Chung. Chung is like, literally speaking, pest or bug. So it's like parasite mother. You are the mother who's worthless, right? Because you're like parasite. So this became a media word. So every media who will talk about this phenomenon or some incident and then to criticize the mother or women, Korean women in general, they started using the word Mamchung. Because chung really means pest or bug. But even before Mamchung, this became a buzzword. Chung was really used. Like if you say somebody who eats so much, like like those words, you can say 식충. Like you never stop. Like you peak. Like those are meanings. So chung was not really a new word, but when it became a compound word like Mamchung, it was really viral in Korean society. And then moreover, what was also worse was Mam Cafe. Cafe is like those online website where they share some information, like Facebook page. So Korean men all just degraded. Korean mother, those mother who join any mom cafe online are Mamchung, like useless citizens of our society. So after Mamchung became viral, there were other words with chung, which is papachung or ebichung. Ebi is like abaji, atta. So after mother was criticized, even the father, who genuinely or who lovingly takes care of their son or daughter, were called like papachu or ebichu. So these really significantly shows pejorative views on motherhood by Koreans. And then motherhood or those genuine behaviors are not really normalized in Korea in such a phenomenon. And then, ironically, motherhood, child rearing, is only associated with women. So it's quite ironic in Korean society because, like, a mother is supposed to take care of the children. But at the same time, the society is also giving a role to be financially capable, so which is rich. So the Korean gender war began. Men calling women degrading terms such as Mamchung and then any other words I cannot really include here in public and especially online. And the women also increasingly use to fit the rivalry. They also started degrading terms toward Korean men. So it's like you worthless Korean men and then some really bad words I didn't include here. And then social hatred and divisions in pejorative buzzwords really continued up to now. And then what is quite interesting these days is after Mamchung, because Mamchung was really such a negative impact. But this one is quite a new phenomenon because this also shows how to parodize some funny incidents that those well-off mothers in, like, let's say, BGC, like those who live in BGC or Makati, like those rich moms' behavior, how rich moms are taking care of their kids, like the private school and so on. So, 도치 or 고슴도치, the first word means hedgehog. So, like, you know, 고슴도치, hedgehog, so many, what do you call that? Spikes, right? But hedgehog herself will love the baby, even if it's so spiky, right? So, 도치맘 or 고슴도치맘 means even if my child is full of flaws, I love my child. My child is best. So, 도치맘 became a new buzzword these days because of one comedian. Because if you see here, like she's wearing some some very expensive coat, and then she will try to imitate English sounding like Korean pronunciation. So this really describes how those well-off class in urban Korean society is a sin. So these days, you can also see the buzzword like geographical information or area information plus 맘. So for instance, 대치맘 from Daechidong, because Daechidong is like one of the most affluent areas in Seoul, or Gangnam. Gangnam is more familiar, right? So Gangnam-gu district, the mothers who live in Gangnam district, Gangnam-mam. So when you hear these words, Gangnam-mam, Gangnam-mam, ganyan pala, ganyan siya, and like those stereotypes. So, working mom. We also can see some contemporary words, working mom or working mom, and then 전업 mom, 전업 full-time. So you're full-time working, and then when you go home, you still have full-time work to take care of your children. But working mom, 전업 mom, they still have some professionalism, right? But they are degraded up to 주부. You're just housewife. 아줌마, just 아줌마. So even if you're professional, you have a job. Like women, Korean women, 주부, 아줌마. So there are some discrepancy how women try to look for herself, but how society sees Korean women. So if you also read some Korean literature or Korean, these are also found in movies or series. So you can also see in Korea, gender entails such personal space like romance, romantic relationship, marriage, family, giving birth, childbearing, and aging. Like when you take care of your aged parents, and those are your household problems, right? But at the same time, they also operate as a system in all public space, such as economy, religion, politics, media, and education. So imagine how these degrading values and then the derogatory terms are used, and then the younger generations are looking at women or men in Korean society. So the last part, this was also quite controversial, like any man, right? So the English word became like Konglish, like 캣맘, or some of them would even call 캣맘충, the pest. The word is 캣맘충, because this also shows 캣맘, or the cat ladies, try to feed the stray cats outside. But it's not always favored by everyone in the society. So the unity between marginalized social beings, because women are still subordinate to Korean men, and then the stray cats are obviously, they're not really valued in the society, right? So this special unity is degraded, especially by Korean men. And then what's worse is the value of care and humanization is also downgraded. Because earlier we talked about how mother is forced to be caring, motherly, loving, right? But at the same time, they are degrading. The Korean mother, what you are doing is only caring, nothing else. So it's very ironic, right? How Korean society wants a woman or the mother to be. So this is just an open-ended question, because we talked about the old values of Korean mother, but what about now? How is mother seen in Korean society? So for now, this is it from me. 감사합니다.
And our next speaker is a senior lecturer at the UP Department of Linguistics who teaches language, linguistics, and general education subjects at the department. Everyone, please welcome senior lecturer Farah Hamadi.
Gamit na ako ng board. 2 weeks ago, wala pa namin yung board. Hindi ko pa alam yung gamit. Pero, as you will see later, mother in Japanese also has a meaning or. Okay, as a disclaimer, I'm not a native speaker of Japanese. I didn't say long enough in Japan to know really if these are the real situation of moms. Hindi rin ako mo natin. So I didn't grow up in a Japanese family. So the presentation I will do now is more of an outsider looking based on dictionary definitions, some idioms, proverbs, and also some of the popular culture that I see in relation to mother. Okay, so in Japanese terms for mother, you have a lot of terms for mother. Kung kailan mo gagamitin ng isa will depend on whether you're referring to your own mother, another person's mother, when you're talking with your family or to outsiders, or formality also comes in. Social status, at least in some manga, high class people will call their moms okasama, and in some period films or drama, they use hahakute. And then closeness also comes in, so some of the terms can only be used when you're close to your mom or for your own mom. Gender, for example, ofukuro is now more or less limited to the male adult. Age also, if you're an adult, especially if you're a male adult and you use mama, people will look at you weirdly. I'll talk about that later. And then, iba-iba din yung patawagan sa mother in different Japanese dialects. So as for dictionary meanings, one of which that I saw, yung main, is mother or female parent. So aside from the maternal related vocabulary, you have also other terms for related kinship terms like grandmother, aunt, mother-in-law, foster mother. So dito na yung core. Lumalabas din, nawala. Sorry, nawala isang slide. For example, vowel in Japanese is bo-in, mother sound. The vowel is the core part of a syllable. Ano pa ngayon nandyan? Sorry na nawala yung slide. And if we look at some proverbs, you see the term mother as the foundation or basis of success. Diligence is the foundation or mother of success. Failure, necessity is the core or foundation of invention. The other meaning is home or origin, similar to Tagalog. So, yung binabalikan mo, the home port, the mothership, or origin, mother tongue, alma mater, home country. So yun yung iba't ibang definitions. Paano lumakas? Kanina ba yung minsan pa? Okay. So in terms of proverbs and idioms, many of the proverbs, many of the idioms, especially the forward idioms, are from Chinese. So they may be promoting some confusion or even Buddhist ideals, but they are also used in Japanese. So we see child rearing and sacrifice as main theme of these proverbs and idioms. And if we look at the character, so yung sa taas yung Chinese character for mother, sa baba woman. So the only difference, if you look at the leftmost character, the only difference is the image of a woman with the breasts for child care. Other related terms, yung sa taas, it means every. It's said to come from, it's said to originally mean multiply, or a woman being able to take care of each one of her children. Kaya naging every meaning. And then this is the character for plum. Yung parang siyang boy, di ba maasim siya? Which is said to be a cure for morning sickness. So yan yung explanation kung bakit yun yung ginamit na character for plum. So you have the mother, although it's a big change, no? You have the mother character. below the lines. In relation to child rearing and home care, the Japanese has a term, ofukuro no aji. Literally, it means the taste or flavor of. Literally, it means mother's taste or flavor. So, yung parang luto bahay in our case. So, ofukuro, it's a term for mother. And then, this is something like a Japanese Sesame Street. Children's education program since 1959, it's still showing until now. The title is Okasan to Isho, or With Mother. It doesn't talk about mother. Pero I guess the assumption is you watch the show, you do the activities dancing, singing with your mom, who is at home with you, taking care of you, as children. And then another portrayal in proverbs and idioms is care, nurture, and kindness. Again, related to child rearing. So, the good wife, the smart mother is the ideal. And then if you compare the ideal for the father and the father should be strict and the mother should be kind. The Japanese also has a term, boseihon no okusuguru, to tickle a person's maternal instincts. So a male or a female can say this when they meet someone who is lost. Diba yung parang gusto mo alagaan? Parang lumalabas yung pagiging nanay mo, whether you're a male or a female. But even if kindness, care, nurture is the ideal responsibility of a mother, you have to balance kindness with sternness or strictness. Kasi pag hindi, masuspoil yung bata at kumaga, loss mo yun as a mother. Parang loser yung lalabas sa anak. So yung tawid from mother to grandmother for children raised by grandmothers are spoiled. So parang warning na you don't spoil your children. Mothers are also thought to be role models, and as an extension, person to blame. If the daughter is acting badly, do not blame the daughter, but blame the mother. So parang ganun mo lalabas. Like Ma'am Anne's presentation, I also looked at the meaning of female this time. So for the dictionary meanings, nandun sa taas, and then you have the idioms again and proverbs. So aside from being kind, as a female, the ideal role is, the ideal characteristics are being graceful, gentle, and modest. If you've heard of the term onnarashi, a ladylike, feminine person. So it exudes gentleness, modesty, kindness, and gracefulness. But in the proverbs and idioms, we also see limits in the role of women. So weaving the loom rather than going out to the fields. In some Buddhist practices, women are forbidden to enter the temple and to participate in the rituals. As for the negative meaning of onna, this is quite striking, although lumalabas din sa Tagalog. Yung isang dictionary ng meaning ng onna is lover or mistress, the other is prostitute. Or temptress in the case of the idioms. So, and all the idioms and proverbs are related to the rule of a country. A country can fail if the head gets tempted by a woman. Okay. And then yung behind the crime is a woman, jealousy is a woman, seven armor. So we see some of the negative characteristics of woman, but not mothers. Woman ito. So for those studying Japanese, do not use just onna, because onna carries those undertones, it parallel to smoking, drinking, having some vices, and also there's a derogatory attitude towards women. So we'd rather say on manito to say on manoko. But if the person is not a child, do not use on manoko. Ko is child, no? Kasi parang bata pa yan, di ba? Negative yung bata. Okay. So if you look at folktales, Urashima parang siyang Red Winkle. No? The Urashima is the person on the tortoise. She went to this place, kumain, uminom, nagsaya, at merong prinsesa doon. Pagpalit niya, tagal-tagal na pala nung panahon, lolo na siya. So, ganun yung story, parang Red Winkle. So, pwede natin i-relate dun sa prinsesa yung kanilang temptress, no, entertainer. And then to another meaning of Onna is person who has reproductive organs for childbirth and menstruation. But there's this forward idiom that talks about unmarried people of married age. But if you really look at the characters themselves, yung sa babae, yung first two, is resentful woman. But for the men, two meanings, either limitless man or an empty man. So, from a critical perspective, you see how childbirth is very important for a woman. So the question is, what about women who don't bear children? No? Again, going back to folk tales, if you know the story of Momotaro, Peach Boy, and the bamboo cutter, yung Kaguya-hime, the Moon Princess, you have an old man and an old baby. Usually they have no children of their own, and then a baby comes along, si Peach Boy at si Kaguya-hime, and then their lives become richer, they become more prosperous. So, parang pinapakita dito na the child is a treasure. Again, this part is related to motherhood. We also see wife and marriage as a theme of proverbs and idioms related to women. So the wife is someone important, something that you should have, something that men should have. So we see the importance of the wife, or women in general. The wife is also associated, having a woman or having the wife in a marriage also shows prosperity, which is related to the term ofukuro. Ofukuro means bad, but it's now used to refer to the mother. So there are three explanations. One is because the mother keeps the family's money and value falls in a bag. Ganito naman yung bag dati. The other is referring to the placenta or womb for childbearing. And the other explanation is a shortened form of futokuro. Pero kimono, naka-fold, meron dito parang breast pocket. Shortened form daw, futokuro, yung ofukuro. And then, when a mother holds the baby, diba, it's near the breast pocket. So, those are some of the related explanations. But interestingly, idioms and proverbs also talk about a wife's struggles. So a woman has no place of peace in this world because she follows her father, she follows her husband, she follows her child. And then ito naman, when her husband dies, it's the time when the wife can now shine and be attractive again. So you see the struggle, di ba, yung parang the role of the wife is always in relation to the other members of the family. And when the husband is now gone, pabalik tayo sa kanina na temptress and so on. This is a TV drama in 2011. You know that Japan now, the job market is very competitive. So people want their children to go to good schools. Yung theme nito ay yung school moms help. Kindergarten kids, ang mga anak nila, they want their kindergarten kids to pass the entrance exam for a good elementary. So yun yung competition from elementary Because if you go to a good elementary school, you go to a good junior high school, go to a good senior high school, and then you have higher chances to go to the top universities. The title of the drama is Namay o Nakushta Megami, literally the goddesses who lost their wings. Because as wives, they're called the wife of someone. As mothers of children, yung mga, ewan ko kung meron kayo, sa mga, kahit sa UPIS, yung grupo ng mga nanay, they call someone Weng's mother, nanay ni Weng. So, Weng mama. Yun yung tawag. Kaya nawalan sila ng sarili. Sorry, nawalan sila ng identity, nawalan sila ng pangalan. At yung byline na, welcome to school, moms. The only negative terms that I can think of related to mother, pwedeng related sa kaninang drama, is the Mazapot or mother complex. Refers to males who are so close to their moms, who cannot live without it, who cannot move without their moms. Related to monster parents, although it's parent, it's usually the mom who goes to school to file a complaint. Siguro in the past 10 years, yung iba daw, kahit yung tatrabaho na yung anak nila, lalo yung fresh, yung newly hire, yung nanay pupunta na, bakit yung pinagabitan ng anak ko? So yun yung monster parent na tinatawag. At usually yung anak nila ay Mazapon. No? Although there's there's also father complex, maybe because Japanese society expects males to be more independent rather than females. So siguro father complex, parang hindi siya ganun ka-weird, pero with mother complex, parang bakit ka ganyan? Just some, there's in pop culture, sorry, hindi lang. Itong Suzae-san, when you look at it, when you watch it now, it shows very traditional family ideals. But in 1969, it was supposed to be medyo critical of the women's roles in society. Si Suzae-san, yung second, yung nakalilaw. Bago niya pinasawa yung nasa taas, yung nasa gitna. Parang mas interested pa daw siya sa sports, sa horseback riding, rather than finding a husband. Tapos one other unconventional setup in this manga and anime is that they live with Suzae-san's family. But usually, you move to women move to their husband's family. But ito, baliktad. Skip ko yung iba. There's another one, yung Anashichi, this is more contemporary. Yung pangatlong tao, si Mikan, yung babae. She's always complaining, why is my family not normal? I mean, her father and mother cares for her. Pero yung normal lang na iisip na nanay, yung gentle, yung kind. Pero yung nanay kasi niya yung parang palangkerang nanay. Tapos natutuwa na nakakamura, natutuwa na nakikipagbalyahan sa supermarket for time sales and so on. So parang, ito yung ideal. Hindi mo na masasabing irresponsible yung nanay or parents. And yet, Mikan finds the family not normal. May time pa ba? Or okay na? Sige, okay na to. Yung siguro lang na even if idioms and proverbs are traditional ideals, traditional values, when we look at pop culture, hindi rin sila taliwas dun sa traditional values. Pero may pinapakita silang bagong layers ng relationships. Okay, thank you.
Our last lecture for today will be delivered by Assistant Professorial Fellow Ritsana A. Canilao. Dr. Ritsana Canilao is an Assistant Professorial Fellow at the Department of Linguistics, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, University of the Philippines, Diliman, where she has been conducting Thai language and linguistic courses. Rosanna earned her PhD in linguistics at the Research Institute for Languages and Cultures of Asia, Mandalay University, Thailand. Her research interests include Southeast Asian linguistics, dialectology, language documentation, and discourse analysis. She's currently working on standard Thai tone production of Filipino speakers, studying how some foundations of reading and writing Thai can be applied to master their pronunciation. This study aims to find practical methods and tools for guiding the learners to produce and apply Thai distinctive tones communicatively. So let's welcome Dr. Ganda.
Maraming salamat kayo for introduction. Magandang hapon. Sa inyo lahat. Okay, สวัสดีค่ะทุกคน So what I'm gonna share with you guys is the Thai context of mother or motherhood. The many words and roles of man, okay, man falling tone in Thai society. Okay, this is what we usually do in our class. So, terms of man for hierarchical structures and various discourse in society. So, this one or this lexicon refer to a woman who give birth to and or raise a child. So we have a lot. So actually, before I work on this, I just know a few of these. So when I look through it, there are a lot, but there are only a few that really Thai word. Other we borrow loan words from Bali Sanskrit, from Khmer, from Chinese. So now I just focus on the word man, which is original Thai. Other, if you see there are many syllables, it's Pali Sanskrit usually. If it, for example, me on top, or ame, or me, that's Chinese, or mama, Chinese. We have other, mata, mada, manda. We also borrow from English, which is mommy or mom. Okay. Next. So my question for this talk, there are three. So I've been looking for the context. In what context do Thai or Chinese use the term man? And what man or women's roles or values, characteristics can be reflected through the use of the lexicon. The last one, what or how can we define or see Thai society through contextual application of the word man. To be honest, what the data that I have is not a lot. I cannot do like corpus linguistic or like semantic network. So what I do, this one is just pragmatics. Okay, pragmatics. So analyze, or I got the data I got by context. Okay, by context. We have limited time, so as you may know, the contextual theory highlights the importance of context in understanding and interpreting language or dialogue. It shows the meaning is not just about the word itself, but also everything around the word that we need to take into consideration. So contextual analysis include not only pragmatics, but sociolinguistic, also discourse analysis. Actually, we can have semantics also, but I won't include here. So context and meaning, context types. So this is just example that we may need to take it into consideration. Physical context, linguistic context, social context, and cultural context. diocese. So in some of my example, we have this, so I include this. Then when we say, so diocese is something like demonstrative pronouns, thing that we emphasize that you are the one. Then sometimes we say แม่คนนี้ of this lady. แม่คนนั้น that lady. So we use the identifier here as pronoun to point who we're going to talk to. Okay, I pass this. Now, okay, I look into our inscription. So in our inscription, this is the first inscription in Sukhothai period. You may know that we have in Thailand we have two kingdoms. The first one is Sukhothai, second one is Ayutthaya. So this one is our first inscription, and it's the well-known inscription. I got the picture from the Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn Anthropology Center websites. Here, so this inscription there are 4 sides. One side, the king. So this one got carving by the king. Okay, the king Rangkaphan, the one who initiated the Thai script. The one who initiated the Thai script. Actually, we borrowed the script from Bali Sanskrit, and then he devised. And this is the first version. Now, the script that we use now is totally different to this one. This script, so from this script we found the first mother. He put his biography on one side of the inscription. So, in Thai, okay, it said Paul. So when we say Paul, it means father, Tata. Paul, who should my father's name is, right? And then he mentioned แม่กูชื่อนางเสียง so this is my mom name is this one, and then the rest he talk about his family, his siblings, and then there are 5 of them here. So we record this in Thailand as a first script for the mom, which means mother. Okay. Now, if we talk about mother, we cannot miss our queen, because in Thailand we have our own Father's Day, Mother's Day. So every our queen, she's become the grandma queen already. So she's on the right. She's a mother of the present king, King Rama X. And then her birthday become the Master Day of Thai people, which is 12 August. Okay. On the right, so we call her in the past แม่อยู่หัว So this one is compounding, compound between nanai, mother, you mean to locate, to stay, to live. So หัว mean อะไรนะ ulo, the head. Okay, so it show that we respect. We call her แม่อยู่หัว we respect. Thai people we have the hierarchy. We have a lot of do and don'ts. One of them is the head and the feet. So we respect people by not really pat someone's feet, someone's head, not really use the feet to point or do anything. So when we call someone with the word hua, mean we really respect. On the right, so she's a grandma. She's a grandma of present king. The mother of King Rama IX, King Bhumibol. We call her แม่ฟ้าหลวง So Fa means the sky, high, up high. Luang means royal. So the way we call her become the name of the state university in Thailand. It's not northern Thailand. I went there once, so beautiful. It's called Mae Fa Luang University. Now, besides that, so Mae, okay, this is new for me. Actually, it comes from Mae Yu Hua a while ago. And this is the period, Lakhon, the soap opera, called Mae Yua. It comes from Mae Yu Hua a while ago. So they delete or blend it together, become Mae Yua, one syllable. It means, still mean the same thing, the mother who we respect. Now, so this is one of the Lakhon. She's the royal consort, so she's not the queen, but she's the first to the queen. So the thing is, she is important because she gave birth to the sun. She gave birth to the sun. In Thai royalty, only the son can be the next. Only the son, the boy, can be the next. So, she's me. Now, in Thai society, we also use the word man as a spirit or angels. So we have like the mother of the river, the mother of the land, the mother of the agriculture, right? So this really show that we're not really 100% Buddhism. We really blend with the Hinduism. We believe in spirit. We believe in the next life. By this, so I think it's the good strategy to make. If we not too much with what we cannot see. This one, so that's why in Thailand every year we have the ceremony of the river. To the land, to the rice, the Buddhist ceremony. So Thai people avoid to make things bad to the nature because we believe that there's God there. Okay? This is actually not Thai God, it's Brahmi God. Man, okay, actually the word man, it comes from the first one, mean women. Not really mean Nana at the beginning. It means women still. I found this from the soap opera. If you watch the Bupphe Sattva, the Love Destiny, anyone here know the Lakhon, Love Destiny? In that series, they really call the young lady Mae Ying, or Mae plus their given name, their proper name. Okay, here. Bella, that's her name. I haven't watched this one, but the student always talk about this before. This is from channel T3. So her name is Karaket. Karaket means the flower, Bulaklak. So we in the series, everyone, especially the elder generation, call her Mae Ying Karaket. Ying means women, Mae means Nana, right? So Karaket is her name. Mae Ying Karaket. Okay, no time, so I won't show it. Next, more than that, Mae can be as a good model. Good model like leaders of the family, leader of the society. This one we have the word Mae Thap and Mae Kong, which nowadays not really the female in this position, but the word Mae is there. Why they not call this position? Usually the colonel or the men will be the one. they not use the word พ่อ for ตาไต they use the word แม่ for this one interesting แม่ทับ and แม่กอง next one as a river here so this is a song up north where I graduate เชียงใหม่ okay up north เชียงใหม่ University so in เชียงใหม่ there are a lot of songs that talk about the nature river forest everything so I found this is one of my favorite song one of my favorite song on the right so that the Ping River the proper name is Ping River on the right actually I look only for the word แม่ปิงก็คือ the name of the river นะคะปิง but they put แม่ up north in Thailand they put many places street district sub district with the word แม่ plus proper name it on the side everywhere it only happened up north okay here the chorus คนงามๆต้องงามคู่ความเด่นดีต้องหักศักดิ์ศรีของกรุณสตรีไม่อยากได้ยิง so we have แม่ okay แม่ย่า mean Lola sorry my voice not really come back yet แม่ย่า this is what I call my grandma yeah I call my grandma the mom of my dad and then แม่ยิ่ง in เชียงใหม่แม่ยิ่ง they have the N here like Spanish here which is different to the central standard time when เชียงใหม่ people call this แม่ยิ่ง something here N here there different to Bangkokian people say it แม่ปิง okay เยือกเย็นสดใสเหมือนน้ำแม่ปิงมันคงจริงใจฮักใครฮักจริงสาวเอ่ยสาวเพียงพิงสาวเครือฟ้าเอ่ยสมสารอีกแม่สาวบัวบานนั่นคือนิทานสอนใจ so another one แม่สาว okay so they call the flower กุหลาบ use the word แม่ and สาว mean young lady สาว mean young lady so this song actually many compound words with the แม่ now แม่ in Buddhism so we have the nun so we go call our nun แม่ชีแม่พระ mean the monk so it mean kind lady we have แม่ in service แม่ in service here ก็คือแม่เล้าก็คือ prostitute she's a head of the young prostitute to schedule the young one to work and then we have แม่บ้าน so many of you know บ้าน mean บาไฮ right บ้าน mean บาไฮ mean housewife mean lady of the house แม่ as an animal female animal แม่วัวแม่หมาแม่แมวนะคะ now แม่ as objects so this is one example กุญแจ mean อะไรนะ sushi right so แม่กุญแจ if we say แม่กุญแจ is a big one this one bigger so the size bigger use the word แม่ so the smaller this one ลูกกุญแจลูก mean อนักลูก mean อนัก this one very interesting okay anak and mom here next this one แม่ in social media actually I just got this one from last week because she's my cousin yeah she's my cousin and then we cheer her up for this round and then she passed to another round and she also has two sons two boys one son one girl and then in the comment here so they put this one ตัวแม่ตัวมัมตัวมารดา mean you are one of the kind you are the one yeah you are the one So this is one of the comments. One of the comments. Next one. This is I got from my friend. Actually, I'm not really Facebook people, but I saw her food. So I'm interested in cooking. So this one, her food. So it's a bit rare. And then she called it, I don't know, European, this one. Picanha, maybe Spanish, I don't know. 1 minute. Oh, a bit rare. Next time, I will do 3 minutes, so it will be better. Now, one of her friends, okay, put แม่สีเรือน at one. แม่สีเรือน mean lady of the house. Lady of the house ก็คือ put at all the chore at home. All the chore at home. Now, almost last. Another one, this one. Interesting that nowadays, when we say man, it become for all gender already. Not really for female or male or any. So it become for all gender. Depend on the context. Usually, the LGBTQIA group will be the one who call each other man. Even the LGBT. Okay. So here they have some คุณแม่ kun is title. The actually title to respect people we say คุณ first. คุณแม่มัมมี่แม่ใครหรอแม่ก็คือแม่ you are the one ตัวแม่ว่าไงแม่ Oh, a lot of version really a lot of version from them. The thing is this book is nice because they're the one who initiate the slang, the idioms that we all gender borrowed in. We use in all Thai society. Now, this one in the culture of LGBTQ group. So more ก็คือ sometimes they go borrow English เนาะ Mama อะไรนะคะคุณแม่ตัวแม่ this one even any gender another guy also this one so I try to think about contextual analysis if we can create more data we can do other approach now I see because I'm teaching so I see benefit of this through the language teaching and learning how we put the activity or criteria that make the student learn with fun. Also, if anyone do translation studies, so we need context, right one for that. Most of the phrases that I show, it compounding, right? Compounding. Sometimes collocation. I found that semantic domain for the word man has been brought in more and more. Now we cannot put the definition. We cannot really put the strictly the definition for man because look like they're going to have more and more. Now about the culture, society. Thai society are rooted in Buddhism. We emphasize respect, humility and peaceful approach to life, with the strong emphasis on hierarchy. Hierarchy is very still high until this day, and family and the blend of the traditional and modern influence. So also Hinduism, I mentioned already. Almost all of us follow Hinduism because we believe that the angel or spirit out there will take care of us for their protection, for our safety and well-being. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boy. We'd like to apologize, but due to time constraints, we will not be able to have an open forum, but we'll post the recording of this session on our YouTube and Facebook pages. So if you have any questions regarding today's lectures, please feel free to comment on the post post during the session and or email the UP Department of Linguistics. And now to award the certificates of appreciation to our speakers, we may invite Dr. Maria Cristina Gallego to come on stage. Let's give her and our speakers a warm round of applause. So this certificate of appreciation will be awarded, given this day, on 8th day of March 2025 at the Pilar Herrera Lecture Hall, Palma Hall, University of the Philippines, Diliman. To our speakers, so Dr. Mary Ann Chicacolot. Dr. Kyung-Min Lee. Dr. Sana Eka Nilao. Senior Lecturer Farah Fernandez. And with that, we will wrap up today's Lexicon Unpacked, the many words and worlds of motherhood. So thank you all, mga men, mami, masor, for joining us in this rich and reflective conversation on how language carries, challenges, and celebrates the idea of motherhood across cultures. On behalf of the UP Department of Linguistics and the UP Diliman Gender Office, thank you to our wonderful speakers, our team behind the scenes, and of course to you, our audience, for sharing your time, your words, and your curiosity with us. And before we officially close, may we kindly ask everyone to fill out our evaluation form, which you can access by scanning the QR code posted around the venue. Okay, so your feedback helps us make future events even better. So once you've submitted the form, you'll also receive your certificate of attendance. So don't forget to take a minute to do so before you leave. Again, thank you, and may we all continue unpacking the words that shape our lives, our relationships, and our communities. Maraming salamat, and happy Women's Month!